Hello everyone, welcome back. Tonight, more open source work, a little more material design in XAML. We may kick another release. It'll be great. At least that's what I'm shooting for. So last week we kicked off a release. It went well-ish. There was kind of one big bug that came through with the numeric up-down control. The fix is now merged in for anybody who wants to play with it. Grab the preview release. But I was kind of figuring that since we had all of the pipeline work last time, it would be kind of nice to see the thing run full end-to-end and have it work, which would be pretty slick, which was my thought. So we may kick it. I want to take a look at a handful of items that have come in just to see what should merge, what shouldn't, and we'll go from there. It'll be great. It'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. Okay, so let's go here. Yay! And then need to do some Velopack stuff as well. So someone keep me honest, because there's a handful of things there that all need to kind of happen and go through, and I've got oodles and gobs of stuff backed up on me. Okay, this one that we were looking at, I believe Nikolai already took care of and fixed for me, which just takes all the fun out of it. Fixes everything. Okay, so let's take a quick gander. I'm going to move myself onto this side real quick. So a handful of open PRs that I think are worth taking a look at. Let's see. Yeah, so this was the one from before with the clear button size. Let's take a look at this guy real quick, because I think last time the recommendation was to go through and move the template binding up to the button. Let's see, height width auto. So this is actually a worthwhile thing to point out to people. Oh, that's interesting. What did that do? Huh. That's nice and annoying. Note to self: the keyboard shortcut for that is hijacking it and not letting it go to the app that I want it to go to. Excellent. Excellent. Anyway, this height auto and width auto, these are fine. They're also kind of the default. So that in WPF, the default behavior for width and height, which are both double properties, is double.nan, so not a number for those people unfamiliar with it. And that's actually what auto is, because auto and nan effectively say size to contents. So these are superfluous, but not, I mean, they aren't bad. Let's see here. And I think we can probably just let this merge. I'm not overly concerned about, like, it's a little wasteful to set the defaults, which is why you don't see auto used inside of XAML that much. Because it is the default in nearly all cases, and so not setting it is the same thing. Let's see here, clear button size. And this is the key thing to look for, right? So this is the default value of 16. And I believe if we look at the old value that was hard-coded in some of these cases, let's see. We are getting a handful of these types of things that are interesting. It wasn't actually sizing on that one. See, were any of these ones previously getting a size, or were they all just defaulting to the default size of the... That one's just forwarding the property through. They may have all just been forwarding through. Something seems off with this, but could be wrong. Okay, well, the 16 is interesting. We may double check that. I think that's probably fine, but I think 16 is the default from the default value that comes through for the pack icon. Maybe we should check this one out. Edit to suggest changes. Yes, I would like to check this branch out. Okay. going to exit review for a moment, and I just want to validate where we're at. Great. And then new fancy button here. So open repo and external editor for those people who hadn't seen this last time. You can come down here. You can now do external editor. And in my case, I have it pointed at dev env. And so when I fire that up, now it is feeding in the directory for the repo, but then it's just a double click on the solution to get me in. So it would be cool if I could say, you know, per repo, hey, here's the actual command for my external editor that I want to launch. But yeah, this gets us pretty close. Okay, so I want to take a quick look at pack icon because I think, oh, and it's actually not here that I want to see it. I want to look at it in the themes because I think in here, oh, and it's under generic if I remember right. I don't think pack icon was its own. Underline. So I'm looking at these data types here. List sort data direction. Color zone. Drawer host. Why is drawer host still in here? Feels like something that should be out in its own land. Pack icon. There we are. Yeah, so there it is. Height, width are both defaulted to 16. Which is why the other one defaults there as well. Okay. Okay. In that case, I think what we are going to do is we will take this guy here. Let's see. Let's just jump out to the PR. Where is... Oh, it's here. Like it should be there. Okay, and then this is in the right milestone. I just want to check this one. This one's also in the right milestone. Great. So we're going to squash merge. And we'll get that in and done. Okay, let's just check out what else I've thrown in this milestone, because there's been a handful of things that have come through very rapidly that I think were pretty close. Okay, let's see. So this one here, floating filled and outline is being pushed to the right by the prefix content. Ah, yeah. So the key thing here to note, let me make sure I have my zoom it command up. Right, so the key thing here is this is the prefix, right? And you can see on these other ones, the hint stays left aligned, even with the prefix, except for combo box where it's being pushed across, right? So, yep. Yep, so there was a little bit of yeah, a little bit of back and forth, and Nikolai even messaged me about this one. I think his words were, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Let's see. So it is a common problem for read-only. So for text boxes, combo box editable false. So this PR covers, let's see, fixing a very weird issue. Would sit on top of the prefix. Interesting. I'll take a look at this. It worries me that we have to do something like this, because this feels like something that somebody could walk into on their own, but we'll see. I may just not be fully understanding it. Let's see. The material design 2 spec is quite clear in the visualization of combo box, which I think they call drop down, or maybe they call it combo box. We did not follow that completely. Not shocking, since we did not float the hint once the drop down was visible. A small change fixes that issue. Oh, good. And he linked out to the spec. Let's see where we got here. Yeah, so you can see here there's not something selected here yet, but even with just the pop-up open, it takes the hint and floats it up. Great. Fix the actual issue in the thing above. For read-only controls, we have a business rule that prefix, suffix texts are always visible. Blah, blah, blah. So before, after. That looks roughly as a... let's see. Check it out. Take it for a spin. I would love to. I would love to. So let's see here. So let's no. Check out. Okay, let's take it for a spin. So there is a couple nice things that are going on here. So the demo app, we have some pay, and this is, I haven't come up with a great way of solving it, so feedback, welcome. But like we've got the field page, but then we've got this page here inside the demo app that just verifies that all the field or field-like controls behave the same way, right? So you can toggle some stuff, you can tweak things, you can see how various changes affect each of them, just to make sure that they all stay in line. The problem is this is more around like stuff that we're debugging, not things to show off the capabilities of the app. So it's kind of a weird deal, but we'll see how it goes. Okay. Is there there is a slight tweak when is editable goes true. Which gives me a bit of pause. I'm actually wondering... So like looking here, it's just barely off. And then there, it's actually... I'm actually wondering if this is right. So specifically, and this is splitting hairs a little bit, but you can see there how the left side of the H on hint is very much to the left of the T, whereas over here, for like a text field, it is not. Same thing with like this style here, right? There. Gives me a bit of pause, right? Is there not a way to clear... I don't want to clear the selection. I guess if I do this, I can functionally clear it. All right, so now we can at least see this, that the part where the hint floats when the drop down is open now properly works, right? Since we go editable, we can clear it. What does this look like? Those seem to line up nicely in terms of... All right. If I do that, that feels pretty close. If I turn that off, yeah. Yeah, it may just be splitting hairs. I am curious what the change was that was referenced in the demo app here. Let's see. For some strange reason, the calculation of left margin for the hint is initially wrong if these values are set as the default in the view model directly. Setting them here is a bit hacky, but it makes the demo page work, and I don't think this would be an issue in a real-world application, so I can live with the hack. Interesting. I'm curious why we don't think it would be in a real-world application. Simply comment out the 2 lines below, open the Smart Hint page, and toggle the is only checkbox. Okay, well, let's take a look, because this is something that kind of interests me. Like, if it really is not something that's going to occur with a normal app, I'm much more okay with. Okay, so let's see. So I realize these things aren't commented out, but the Smart Hint page and toggle the is read only checkbox. Okay, so that's what it's supposed to look like. And I assume it is one of these combo box styles, would be my theory. In the text box, text box style section. So that must be one of the first ones, I believe. Okay. Well, let's go comment those 2 lines out and see what happens. Let's see. Actually, that was the view model, wasn't it? No, smarthit.saml.cs. This one. So if we do this. So one of the things that initially gets me is there are different behaviors that occur when data context is set before initialized component. That could be related, perhaps. Let's find out. We've done that. And now if I do is read only. And right there, the calculation is off. But only on the left align ones. The rest of... No, the stretch ones have the same problem. Interesting. Let's take a look at this. This one surprises me. This surprises me. So we grab our good old Snoop and let's go with spelunking. Let's go with spelunking. So with Snoop, once you fire it up and you target your app, you put your cursor over what you want to investigate and hold down Control Shift, and you get this little red bordery thing around it, and you can dive on in and start playing with it. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is get our bearings. So this here is the Smart Hint control that is inside of the text box control. So there's the text box, there's the Smart Hint. This is the guy that we're playing with. And this here is the text block. And then this guy, I think I'm trying to remember how this guy ends up setting it, because there's the suffix text, trailing pack icon, clear button. That is this guy got a margin or what? Okay. Trying to figure out why this here and this here are overlapping with each other. Because I would have expected this content host where that red border is to be shifted over. But it appears to not adjust itself. But only on the left and stretch. Because what is going on these other ones here, right? So if I look at this, right, and I assume if I look at the horizontal alignment, let's see, horizontal content alignment center, right, as I toggle this, that guy goes in and out. But what is actually moving this is read only. Still is bothering me that this isn't recalculating. So let's go looking at text box. And specifically, I want to find that template. Okay. I just decided it's going to be quicker to go here. Text box, content counter, text box base, blah, 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 Visual State Manager, blah, blah, blah. There's your prefix. Okay, so the calculation for prefix includes read-only. Yeah, prefix text visibility converter. Yeah, which I'm just going to assume does some stuff here. Blah, blah, blah. Is editable. Oh. That's interesting. That's probably okay, though. Okay, so okay, and we see the thing going large and small. The question then is, why does it not offset? Because there's the prefix text box. It's inside of a grid. There's the pack icon, the text box. This is column 2, 0, 1, 2. All right, so that's all fine. How would you even get yourself... And then the scroll viewer, and then the smart hint. So the scroll viewer contains the content. The smart hint sits on column 1 and spans 3 columns. Okay, so the smart hint is spanning all 3 columns, which tracks with what we're seeing, right? When we look here, and that probably explains what's going on here. I bet you could make it happen, but only if we were able to shrink this down. And we just, the text is probably not long enough. I imagine we'd see it occur on these other ones as well if we could get it small enough. But because stretch and left both overlap, so the smart hint is going from column 1, spanning 3. But then how does it offset itself so that it doesn't overlap with that? Because I'm not actually confident of what this is doing. I'm trying to remember where the measuring occurs. Initial horizontal offset. Got it. So this is what is expected to be firing. Because on a change, this guy should convert, and this binding should fire, and this converter should fire. Initial horizontal offset. Initial horizontal offset. Okay, let's take a look at you. What do you do? What do you do? Let's see. Auto suggest box, combo box. Okay, so that initial horizontal offset gets passed into here. And then this guy gets a render transform. So it's the grid's render transform that is incorrect between these. So the question then is, what is different about the grid's render transform? So if we go back here and look at Snoop, so inside of the smart hint, There should be a grid, and the grid should have a render transform. Look at that. And we should be able to dive into it. And maybe we'll take a brief floating hint translate transform instance. So in all cases, it's a translate transform with an X and a Y. So those are the properties that we actually care about is X and Y. We go all the way to the bottom here. I'm going to just bring my window back on screen. I go all the way to the bottom. X and Y are 0 and 0. So it has translated to zeros. Yeah, so the first question then is where is this calculation failing to make it to? My gut reaction says grab it here, right, and see what is going on. We're making it all the way into here, and then let's see, scale 0, scale 0. So the scale value coming in here on the values is 0, which is the very first binding. So if we go up, scale host scale, shouldn't scale host have a scale of 1? Am I missing something? Okay, so that's functionally what's happening. It doesn't matter what these values are returning because scale host scale is 0. So the bindings are all firing and the value is making it through, which is good because that's kind of what we expect. Okay, so let's go turn this off. Let's go put the thing back, and I want to see what is... So this apparently, quote unquote, fixes it. And I'm very surprised to see that this fixes it. Because this would mean that property changed on prefix or suffix text actually changes the behavior. And that surprises me. All right, so if we go is read only, and now it does in fact fix it. So let's go here. And if I look at this, right, and we come in to the smart hint, which is where smart hint, and we look at his grid, and we look at his render transform, and we bring our window back on screen again, and we go down to X and Y. X and Y are both 0. Huh. I think that's a bit of a red herring then. Because that means the render transform on this grid that's supposed to be doing the offset is not the difference between those two. That makes me more suspicious. Because how would... I'm kind of curious. So grids have a property on them called show grid lines. So the one thing I'm noticing is if I were guessing, the hint would be in the third column, index 2. That would be my theory from looking at that. Is that actually the case, though? Did something change the grid column? No, so he's still in column 1. The hint is in column 1. This is also in column 1. So this and this are in the same column, despite the fact that they aren't overlapping with each other. Which means this guy must have... It's got to be a margin, right? Ahaha. Okay, so the smart hint does have a margin being applied to him. And it's ye big. Okay, so that would make more sense to me. So the margin on smart hint inside of here is what is quote unquote fixing it. So it's not going to be inside the smart hint, I don't believe, because the margin is typically something controlled outside. You can control it inside, but it's less likely to be useful. Where is the margin? There. So here is what is likely doing it. This guy has a is read only. Prefix text block actual width. I have a suspicion. Though I would expect this thing to calculate properly in both cases. So let's see here. So in this case, because we're in the working case right now, right? So if we go on, right? So we have a bunch of values coming in, and the interesting ones that I think we're going to care most about are the ones around the prefix. So it's going to be indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these two here, I think, are the most interesting. So if we look at is editable, prefix width. So in both of these cases, it's got a reasonable setup. Get left margin, prefix width, plus prefix margin right. So there's some amount of calculation, but it's coming up with a positive number. Right? So that goes there. Great, great. Disable breakpoint, let it go. Okay, so let's kill execution. And I would like to take a quick dive into what happens if this goes. Because if changing a property in the onloaded causes a change in behavior, what that tells me is that there is a binding that's either binding to something that's not raising property changed, and so re-triggering the binding late makes it better. The thing that's surprising me is toggling the is read only isn't fixing it, because normally when you see issues like this where they're overlapping, it's because it's like, oh, I get it, right? Like there wasn't a property change fired, so it never knew to update. But in this case, it's clearly updating, right? So theory number one, I don't hit this breakpoint when I toggle is read only. I do. Prefix total width. So prefix width. So let's see what is the return on this. So if we look at, let's see, get left margin return 0, get right margin return 0. Let's see here, and we are going to be, I don't want to deal with this, var rv equals. Gonna move this down one step. That way I don't have to think too hard. Because I always tend to step too far when I'm trying to hit these things and miss it. We're just gonna move it down. Because this strikes me like I'm glad Nikolai found this, because if this strikes me as a very legitimate bug. Okay, still broken, still broken. Go here. Go here. All right, so I mean that's why left is being calculated at 0. Prefix width has a width of 0. Prefix margin. Okay, so the actual width on that binding is returning 0. And I think it's because we're bound to actual width. And that's why setting it later changes. Yeah, I vaguely recall something about this. Width doesn't trigger updates. I vaguely recall this. There is no property changed. Yeah, see, this may be what I'm remembering of. Is that it's not raising property changed when it fires. So thankfully, there's kind of a workaround for this, because I suspect what is happening is the width of this element isn't actually changing. So it never updates. That's my theory. That is my theory. So if we go and look at the prefix text block, actual width, 1704, right? The width of it is never changing, so it never rereads the value, because the binding has no reason to, right? So it's nice. Like, normally we think of bindings as like these connected pipes where the data just, I always go and re-invoke the data. It's like, you only re-invoke the data when property changes. So because the visibility of this, I think, is just going hidden, because if we look at visibility on this, right? So visible, hidden, visible, hidden, visible, hidden. Oh, it's going collapsed. When it goes to collapsed, its width doesn't. No. Actual width stays the same even when collapsed. Oh man, I would have told you actual width goes to 0 on collapsed and it stays there on hidden. But apparently actual width is holding its size. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, I'm learning new things tonight. There's nothing funky about you, is there? I mean, it's got a funky visibility binding. But when it goes to 0, its actual width property isn't changing. Weird. Okay. WPF text block. Actual width, visibility, collapsed, does not go to 0. I'm just surprised that it's not going to 0. Maybe I'm just wrong about that. But man, I could have sworn that they went to 0. I mean, clearly, obviously not. Okay, so how do we want to go about fixing this? There's kind of a dirty trick we can do here. You want to see the dirty trick? Watch the dirty trick. Done. So the subtle trick that's going on here, and then I think we just need to ignore all the extra values, is any binding inside of a multi-binding, when it has its property changed, it will reevaluate the multi-binding because something has raised property changed. Yeah, Bananatron, it is bizarre. I would not have expected this, but if you put a binding on the target property, this binding should fire since we saw it changing, and it should retrigger, I imagine. Yeah, and I'm willing to bet, and we'll check this here in just a second, but I suspect the rendered size goes to 0, but maybe not the actual size because it's already been measured and laid out. Possibly. If we do this, oh, even that didn't trigger it. Interesting. So I'm surprised here now. So let me just make sure that we're actually getting down to here and not hitting the empty thickness. So if we go here, prefix width is still 0. No. Okay. Dear beloved WPF, what have you done to me? That is not how the world works. Do not mess with my head. You are messing with my head, and I do not like it. Okay, smart hint. Right? Because this is the guy with the margin. Right? And he is in the incorrect state. If we delve binding, we can go into the multi-binding and take a look at it. And we can see here's the binding collection, right? So here we go. There's the binding that appears to be problematic for us. This guy does trigger. Oh, is this guy still caching it? Oh, I wonder if that is... Okay, so hold on. Let's check one more thing. Prefix text blocks. Width. Size. Okay. The render size isn't even changing. No, something's got to be. Okay, render size, actual. Okay, Snoop may just be lying to me. Yeah, I agree. But now realizing that this thing may not be... Oh, yeah. So you can use the vertical pipe in your property filters to be able to bring in more things. I don't remember how I found this one day, whether I was reading something or whatnot, but somebody pointed it out to me. It's really powerful because each of these things are sub patterns, so you can just put stuff together. Especially with this clear after delve, you can get yourself into some really funky states. So actual width is changing. But why then? Oh, it's got to be something stupid like with these bindings. Is going to be my new theory. Something stupid with the binding, because we know. Okay, let's get rid of this. Right, we don't need that. So I kind of imagine Nikolai knows what he's doing. I imagine he ran down a lot of these paths. I just want to validate this because is read only is triggering the multi-binding converter to fire a second time. I don't want to lose track of the fact that I wanted to do a release today, so someone keep me honest for that. Just part of me kind of wants this in there too. Yeah, so there overlaps. Okay. Right, so that's fine. And if I put a breakpoint here, right, and I trigger, zeros, which is fine. That's kind of what we like. 0 is expected going this direction. All right, we go here. We trigger again. And this is where we expect to actually get values. Prefix width. None of them have values coming through. Let me put a condition here. Prefix width greater than 0, because I don't actually care to catch it every time when it's 0. Okay. Nowhere is it coming through and grabbing that. And it's interesting to me. Where's my precious Snoop? Let's try this one more time. I want to look and see. This may be a case where it could be helpful to actually do a small sample instead of this big thing. Let's see here. Oop, wrong way. Okay, because I'm curious. If it has to do with the container that it's in. I'm wondering if it has to do with the container, because when you've got 2 grids, I'm wondering if there's a timing issue with each of these. If the order that these things are being evaluated is relevant. We're just going to hypothetical something real quick. I wonder if I just put a delay on that, what happens? Because if that guy's forced to wait for just a second, I'm wondering if the order that because there's a prefix width non-zero. Disable breakpoint. Now I don't know which one that is, so let's not get too excited just yet. Yeah. Now re-enable. Yeah, so why is that never coming through with a non-zero? There's got to be something cached in here. Because this guy is bound up here. And the expectation, because I'm wondering if there's a timing, because this guy fires on read-only to change his visibility state, and this guy is firing on read-only, and you'd expect a second pass. But I'm wondering if that's just not making it through. So let's try adjusting the binding then, rather than going on actual width. I wonder if we can bind it up to, let's see here. What else might we try on this guy? Do that. Because I'm kind of tempted to go after render size. Do render size.width. Doesn't hurt anything to try. This one gives me a little more pause, especially with a potential binding leak. Because now we're binding to the width property on a struct, because I believe render size returns a size object that is a struct. We can double check that, but make it work, make it right, make it fast, in that order. Let's see, disable breakpoint, let it ride. What I really want AI to do is be intelligent about what I'm debugging and set my breakpoints when I need them. That isn't changing it either. Why would that not work? But yet changing this later. This is what's bothering me, right? Because doing this, typing here, shouldn't be that different than setting it on load. Let me go look at that. Let me just hypothetical, because this was the issue that came up. Yeah, I was hoping there was something useful in the discussion here, but not really. Let's see here. What is this one? Yeah, okay, so that guy's just closed. Okay, so cool. Okay, so that all tracks, but that doesn't really help me understand why this is failing here and why it wouldn't be a problem for somebody else. Because I could certainly see someone else setting up their text boxes this way. And that's what's the only part that's like, on one hand, we can merge this because what Nikolai has done is better than what was there, right? It is a step forward. Just really want it all the way there. Is there a... Got so many options on here. Yeah, because the only reason this guy is set up the way he is and needs his margin. I'm actually curious, why does suffix work? Why does suffix work on right-aligned ones? That now makes me wonder why. What is special about suffix? Oh. That what's special about suffix? Because XAML's evaluated top to bottom. And in general, the order you write your XAML doesn't matter. It's rare that it does, at least in WPF. Looking at you, .NET Maui. But suffix works. The order of the XAML. Oh my word. Oh, that's nasty. Hoy vey. Hoy vey. No, 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 no. No, no, no. I just, no. I can't, no. Right? Let's just verify our changes. I want to make sure I haven't. So, just to clarify, we took the prefix text block and we moved it down next to the suffix text block. Why? Okay. That clearly works. The question is why? Why? What is the hypothesis as to why this would fix it? So we know it is using an element name binding. And the element above it, was it laying out? See, everything I can think of would have made suffix be wrong and prefix be right. Because if it was laid out top to bottom, oh, well, yeah, because auto columns lay out before star columns, because star columns take the remainder and split it up into a pie based upon how many stars each column gets, right? Like, people often forget that, you know, we use star, auto, and fixed, but you can actually do like 2-star, 3-star, and they're just percentages, right? So however many stars there are, however many you ask for, that's your percentage of the puzzle. In this case, there is only 1 star available, and this one's asking for 1, so it gets 100% of the remainder of space. It's great, right? Why would moving it down make a difference? That would mean the smart hint has to evaluate first. The smart hint has to evaluate first. Why would that make a difference, though? Why would that make a difference? Because this is just a visibility binding. This shouldn't make any difference at all, right? Like, some properties in here change, therefore the visibility of this thing changes, which is great. When the visibility changes, the thing is going to be marked as dirty and measured and laid out on its next pass. When the layout happens, it has to be raising a property change for actual width, otherwise it wouldn't work now. It's got to be something around the order of this. Like when the binding evaluation happens, because the visibility is changing, it's like this doesn't reevaluate, but because this was evaluated first, then the visibility changes, therefore it causes this thing to reevaluate. It's got to be something stupid like that. It's got to be something stupid. That's my best theory. That's my best theory, is that by putting the prefix below, it means this multi-binding is evaluated before this one. This guy gets set. This one then changes his visibility state, causing an update, and this thing then has to reevaluate itself. That's my best theory. That is my best theory. And because things happen in groups with layout passes, by being marked as dirty, it's got to be something with that ordering. That by putting it later, it causes an extra pass where it otherwise wouldn't. Ayavaya. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go back to the smart hint. I feel accomplished now, though. So that part makes me feel good. The other thing I was tempted to do was this. Like, in general, with WPF, it is slightly better to set your data context before initialize component, because if you do it after, it has to reevaluate everything. Because when you set it after initialize component, everything was initialized without a data context, and then a data context shows up and it goes, oh, bindings, gotta reevaluate myself. Ah, excitement. Run, have fun. Okay. So let's go here. Nikolai, when you watch this, hopefully you're impressed. Let's see. I do not want to keep this change. Actually, I don't want to keep any change in this file. So we're going to throw that away. see here. So this is the only thing we want to keep. So we want to keep the demo app where we remove the hack. Fixing. So the hack is no longer. I'll move my big fat head to the left. Whoop. The hack is no longer needed. There we go. That makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Push. Okay. And now, all right, because that just passed through, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything else in the review of this, because we played with it and I'm fairly confident it's working. So there's the fix to float it when the keyboard focus is in. Invert Boolean. What binding is this inside of? Oh, this is the initial horizontal offset that we looked at. Okay. This is going to be the same thing. Yep. Okay. Password box. Static resource true value. Haha, clever. And then this is my brilliant contribution to it. Put the prefix text block below the smart hint. Of course. Of course. Of course that's the fix. For reasons that I can only guess at. I do wonder, should we add a test for that? Because that feels like something someone could break. That feels like something someone could very easily break, and it might be worth a test. Just hypothetical. Might be that feels like something I want to prevent regression on. Yeah. Oh, you know what I just realized? We may need to make a similar change on other ones. Right? We've just done it here. Yeah, but the other ones are still broken. Why does this one... Oh, that one doesn't matter because it doesn't show up. Okay, got it. Got it. The reveal style doesn't show it. So those ones are fixed by accident. I am wondering why we show... Huh, I'd have to go look at password box. But a couple of these are clearly incorrect. Okay, so let's... While that guy thinks about what he's doing, this feels like something I want to add a test for, just to make sure that this thing offsets itself properly, since I know what the heck this guy is supposed to do. So let's go write us a UI test real quick, just real quick, because this is future Kevin is not going to remember what current Kevin was thinking. And so we're just gonna capture this in something that future Kevin can look at. Okay, so we're gonna do something like this. So fact, description, issue. I like tying these things together so that I can find them later. 3762. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Public async task. When prefix is shown, hint is horizontally offset. Okay. So for those people who haven't seen it, step one, we need a little chunk of XAML to represent what we got going on here. So I don't think we need to test them all, so we'll just test one, I think. Let's go look at the demo app real quick and see what that XAML looks like. And then we're just going to copy paste it. It's probably not going to be straight copy paste because I think there's a ton of setters and bindings and all that kind of stuff on here. Because you can see there's all this stuff for doing the work. Let's see here. Let's see. Invisible controls only used to be able to fall back to the default style values. Blah blah blah. Deck panel checkbox. Okay, so text box variants. Let's see. This is a whole bunch of stuff, and then here is the. This is the stuff. So we want style name indicator. Yeah. Man, there's a lot going on in here. Got it. Okay, cool. So, short version, we need this. Let's go here. So, if we just poach from one of these, I don't want a user control. I want one that just takes raw strings. Yeah, something more like this. So, steal, paste. Okay. So we're going to throw away all of this, throw away all of this. We're going to clean that up so it doesn't do wackiness. Don't need any of these tuples. Yeah. Don't need that, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Great. Okay, and then we're going to throw away... Might keep the hint. Don't need that, don't need any of you. Don't need any of you. Great, 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 great. Okay, this is the basic premise of one of these tests. The only thing that we do differently is now we have got cool strings rather than ye ugly ones. So now we can do this stuff and not have them suck so badly. So format's a little nicer. We got too many quotes in here, but that's okay. We are going to set this up properly. And we may go revert the change just to make sure that it breaks, that we go red and green. Or we'll go green then red. It doesn't really matter. What's important is that we test the change or that we see the test go both red and green so that we know that our change is what's doing it. We don't care about this binding. None of that matters. Great. Okay, because we can get away with what we want with just this. Okay, so that's what we're going to load up. And then let's see. So key things that we want to make sure that we've got is read only true. So is read only gets true. That's important. We want to make sure we've got a prefix set on it, which was this guy here. Let's see, go back here. Prefix text gets pre. All right, so we'll do something like that. See what else is important. We want prefix text, hint text. I think that's good because the only thing this thing was changing over here on us was horizontal content alignment left. And oop. Wrong buttons. I think it'll probably be good to be explicit about that. We'll do that as well. And then we're going to go set a breakpoint. We're going to kill this. And then I just want to verify that we are in the right state. All right, so we can come here and we can go false. I can't remember if setting it here is good enough or not. Yeah, constructor is fine. So attach debugger to remote process. So what this will do is it'll allow the test to stop at the debugger. So it'll stop the process that's running our unit test, but it will leave the XAML host process running unencumbered so we can click around and play with it. The disadvantage of that is if we wanted to debug something inside of that host, we then couldn't because it wasn't attached. So it depends on what you're doing. Okay, so see, breakpoint hit, but this window moves around freely. Oh, this is read only. Oh, but that's what we want, right? This thing is offset. Okay, and then I'm just going to quickly undo my change just to make sure that this, because we're kind of building a just above the scroll viewer, I think. And then let's just test to make sure we see this thing go. I actually got a request a couple weeks ago, I think it was now, on the XAML test library. Somebody was asking if I would be interested in supporting .NET Framework. And I'm not opposed to it if somebody wants to do... Uh-oh, we're missing something. Is that or my undo didn't do it properly? I'm not opposed to if somebody wanted to submit a PR adding support for it, but the underlying communication between the XAML test host process and your unit test project is gRPC over named pipes. And that's just not supported in .NET Framework. So if somebody wants to swap out the communication bits and do it, it should work. Right? It doesn't like, all that matters is that the two processes can talk to each other. That's it. So as long as that goes. Okay, so first question, did I put it back properly? It was above the scroll viewer before. I did not put it back properly. Let's put it back properly. That makes me now wonder if the scroll viewer is impacting this. Let's test it, because I'd like to see it fail first of all, because that would be kind of cool. I still can't believe the order of elements in the XAML. And that doesn't do it. Maybe this is why Nikolai made the argument that it was unlikely to affect anyone else. I mean, we could look at the demo app and see what else we were setting up in here, because it's now it's going to be some combination of all these things, because we should be in the quote unquote broken state. All right, so if I go read only here, it's broken. So what else do I need to set in order that might be related to this? Is floating is set to true. We'll just make sure we've got all the relevant pieces. Let's see. We might turn read only off just so we can play with it for a minute. All right, so there's that vertical scroll bar visibility, because there's a bunch of defaults sitting in here. Trying to look and see which of these things might be directly affecting it. It does have helper text. I don't think the leading icon makes a difference. Nope. We won't worry about that. Trailing icon, ripple, height, vertical content. Prefix one focused. I don't know what the default here is, but I think when focused or non-empty. So let's do this. Let's get rid of read only for the moment. Just so we can, I want to see the thing. I want to make sure I'm getting the appropriate, but you have to run the test, not the demo app. That's an important step. Okay. Um, let's put the is read only back. I wonder if it really is because we're data binding with styles that's making the problem worse. This may end up being a fool's errand to try and test then, if it really is going to be this difficult to hit. It is going to be that difficult to hit. Oh, okay. Then let's not. Okay, so let's go here. View changes, revert. But let's go and find the other styles that might need similar changing, because the autocomplete one we know had similar issues. That's probably what Nikolai meant when he said that it was unlikely that other people were going to get bit, and so it was okay to kind of hack it in the thing. Let's see here. Where is the auto suggest box? So this guy here probably has the same behavior. We're going to fix some. I should get my XAML styler installed again. I formatted my machine recently over the holidays. And now this is annoying me. But I'm a little hesitant to just blind format everything. A little nicer to do something a little more gentle. Okay, so there's the prefix text box. So just to clarify, smart hints. All right, if we look here, we turn read only on. The text box works. The auto suggest box does not. So let's fix auto suggest box with the same quote unquote fix. We just grab this guy. We take him down below, put him next to the suffix, and bippity boppity booyah, the problem goes away. Just format this stuff up a little bit nicer. While we're in here, I always subscribe to the Boy Scout principle of leave code better than you found it. There's obviously a limit to how far that should be taken, because you could certainly spend hours just formatting and cleaning things up and that kind of stuff. And that's there. You shouldn't go overkill with it, but a little cleanup is always good. Always nice. Okay. Okay, so that should fix the auto suggest box. We will validate that. Okay, so smart hint, be big, read only. Okay, auto suggest box is now working. That may be the last one. Yeah, looks like that's the last one. Okay, so we'll just push that. Let's see. Fix auto suggest box as well. Commit. Push. And then that will go through and we will have a complete release. Oh, do we have a conflict? Oh, I just caused a conflict. That makes me feel sad. Okay, rebase. I know Nikolai is a Git Kraken user as well. So typically me doing this won't mess him up too badly. Okay, so the changes here, we want to pick up, let's see, I don't know if it matters too much. We can probably take this in most cases. So there, the height and the width are two things that we want. Adding, command, focusable, icon vertical alignment, style. Those are all the same. I don't know why it couldn't resolve that since those changes look. I guess it was because there was additional lines with the width height in there, plus the white space. Sometimes Git, I wish you were a little smarter. I wish you were a little bit smarter. All our new AI magic, and we still can't figure out how to merge white space. Okay, so let's take a look then, because that one, I'm probably going to shoot myself in the foot with a lot of these. Okay, so that'll fix that one. Let's take a look. And then this is a draft. So this is addressing this. What is this? Yeah, so we'll come back to this because this is a draft, and I want to see if there's. We may just merge this change here, but that's a demo app change, so I'm less concerned about it. Okay, so once this guy merges, I think what we're going to do is we're going to send 5.2.1 because that's all that's left in it is these two items. So it'll be a very small release, but this bug here is kind of problematic, and so I'd like to get a fix out for it. I mean, people can always grab the preview NuGet packages, but I know for some people that causes headache and heartburn, and they prefer to not run on preview packages. But there's no difference in the amount of testing I do on any of them, so they're all pretty much the same. Only difference is how long they've been alive. Okay. Okay, so there's that, there's that, there's that. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay. Sorry, just getting my bearings real quick while I figure something out. And were there any other bugs that came in that are worth looking at? I don't think so. Okay, this one I think we can close. This was just a question. This one I wanted to look in. Yeah. A little feedback. And okay, so nothing overly significant has come in since the release besides the stuff that is being fixed or about to be fixed. So we'll get that done. This one I don't think, I just want to see the severity of it. I think it's low. Is behaving strange. When tabbing into the autocomplete box using the keyboard navigation and hit tab, you're unable to tab out of the control. If the suggestion list of the autocomplete box has been visible but has been closed again, the tab key now works, but instead of tabbing out of the control, it now selects from the invisible suggestion list. Oh, okay. Good. Oh. Nikolai's comment there makes me issue template, bug report. Just want to look at, show me raw. Input version. Okay, cool. Cool. I just want to make sure. So for people who haven't seen this, GitHub actually has this cool little issue template. Like when people do new issue, you actually can do this, hey, bug report, feature request, discussion tab, and you can go in here and you can actually customize this. That's what that YAML file is. So for those people who hadn't seen it before, pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I cannot claim credit for it. It was done by one of the other contributors, but I was like, I like it. It's that type of attention to detail that is very, very slick. Okay, so that guy's going to run. Then we're going to let the pipeline rock and roll. So Let me back up then, and then I wanted to go and do a. Where is my Velopack stuff? Let's see here. It in docs. Where is our samples at? I don't think it's here, but I think our sample apps are actually in the main repo. Let me just check real quick because I can't remember. And I think that's all done. File maintenance, blah blah blah. Let's see. Alt E. Right? Is that not it? Open the file. Alt O. Keep getting my things confused. Samples. Yeah. I think this is where we want to put together a small sample to have it work. So, for people unfamiliar, Velopack is a company that I am part owner in. So this is shameless self-promotion for anybody who wants to play along. But if you are looking to build a very simple installer with update capabilities and all of that kind of in the box, that's what this is. For people who have worked with Cloud Squirrel, the same author of Cloud Squirrel is my partner on this. So Cloud Squirrel has been archived and has been rebranded to Velopack. So if you've used that, it's the same stuff. APIs look real similar, except for the stuff we've updated. And we got some cool stuff coming. But there was a question that came through the other day about does it support Windows Forms? And I was going to do a quick sample showing how to do that. I think that is probably the easiest. So let's do this. I wanted to briefly glance here to see what we had set up. This is net 4.8. It's probably fine. Like we could do, let's do Windows Forms in well, let me look. What does our pipeline already got on it? I don't want to add a dependency that our pipeline doesn't already have. Cuz I think we don't build the full solution. I guess then the question is, let's just look at what's already in the... I don't have it open. Let me just open up the whole solution real quick. And this repo is open source for anybody who wants to powwow. Some of the stuff that I will occasionally show on stream is not open source because we have a hosted... Oh, that's the wrong link. Ignore me. We have a hosted SaaS solution for view origin. That was the link I meant to copy. A hosted SaaS solution so that if you don't want to deal with hosting your own installers out on the cloud, we will do it for you. Interesting that only some of the samples are included in here. Kind of wonder if we should... Because this is net 4.8, this is net 8, so we'll target net 8. I think that's probably the most reasonable. Let's see, it's going to be called C# WinForms, and then we got to move ourselves into a different location. Open containing folder, and Velopack isn't restricted to C# either. I may get this list wrong, so don't quote me on it, but C++, Rust, JavaScript, crap, now I can't remember. See, I knew it. Oh, look at that, I got them all right. And then Java, Python, Swift, and Go all forthcoming. Okay. let's see, samples. Yeah, we're going to go like that. I do wonder if maybe the samples shouldn't be part of the main solution file. And then yeah, we've already got net8 for the other one, so we'll just powwow on net8 for now. Okay. So, the basic premise of this, and maybe we'll take a brief gander at what the WPF one does for its UI. I don't think it does much. Let's see. So there's a button to check for updates. There's a button to restart and apply. There's a button to download updates. And there's a text box for status. We might just straight up steal all of this and then text log. It's been a while since I've done WinForms, so this will be fun. This will be fun. Where's my toolbox? Toolbox, where are you? I miss you. Come back. I need you. Initializing. There we go. Common controls. Okay, so we need button. Let's see. Containers is going to be... Hey, Izzy, welcome. We're doing two things. Thing one, we are waiting for this PR to merge so we can kick off yet another release. Mostly because of the bug in the numeric up-down thing that got fixed. So once this guy merges, and maybe I'll leave this thing open so I'll just put it off to the side where I can keep an eye on it. Once it merges, we're going to test the release pipeline. And then we're going to do a WinForms sample for Velopack since it was requested by somebody. I'm somewhat blatantly poaching. Not 5.3. This is going to be a 5.2.1 because there's no real API changes to this. There's minor fixes. And the only UI breaking changes in this one, like, even though they're technically breaking, they're taking something from not working to working. So there should be, if you've upgraded to 5.2, 5.2.1 should be a drop-in. There shouldn't be anything fancy about it. Okay, I'm trying to remember, how the heck do I do scrolling? Oh, that's right. The text box in WinForms supports scrolling itself, I believe. Don't you? Let's see. Scroll bars. Ha ha ha. Vertical. There we go. And then there is multi-line. Yep, there we go. See? See? But I used the numeric up down, so I will need to update the 3 networks again. Oh, I'm sorry. In case you are wondering, let's see, why do I have that open still? The bug in question that is the one that I'm wanting to get the fix in for is this guy here. Right? So there is a static resource exception inside of it, which doesn't make me feel good. So, yeah, that part I'm disappointed in myself on for not catching. So, but it was caught quickly. I'm guessing most people just reverted or whatnot. But that's the big fix that I'm trying to get out the door because it's like a straight up crash for people using that particular one. So if you care, that's the one. Depending on which of the numeric up down ones you use, you may not be affected by it. But yeah, here, I'll drop the link. But if you're using any of those 4, you're probably, and you're on 5.2.0, you are probably experiencing an exception being thrown. So, for what it's worth. Okay, so we got this. We'll do WPF from site. That'll be fun. Right? So we've got we need a text block at the top for status. Let's see here. So that's a label in WinForms land. Whoop. There we go. Label. And then Let's see. Status, check for updates, download update, restart and apply. Yeah. Okay, so that should be... I definitely care. I have a release tomorrow, and I don't want any chance of exceptions. Yeah, if you were launching though and testing it there, you should be pretty safe. Let's see. Okay, so anchors. This is one of the things in WinForms that always drives me crazy when people don't properly anchor their stuff. We're gonna do this properly. Let's see. LBL status, I think, is the equivalent way of doing this. We're gonna bring you down and kind of set you here. I don't remember. There's a center it button. Testing is for users. Ah, yes, the age-old tradition. It's like the old saying goes, right? Like, what is it? Everyone tests. Some people are just fortunate enough to have production in a completely separate environment. I think it's something of that nature. There, we'll do something like that. Something like that. Bring this guy over. There, because there's something. Where is the? There's a button in here for just for horizontally centering things. I would have told you it was these buttons up here, but that clearly doesn't seem to be the case. Only my company understood the benefits of testing, but they never budget for it. Yeah, yeah. Like, I certainly understand your pain. That is always a consistent fight, I will say. We're gonna do this. Actually, I kind of want this wider. I don't understand why these buttons for alignment aren't lining up. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. And we're gonna do this. Okay, and then we're gonna anchor top left right. Anchor top left right. Anchor top left right. Then we're gonna anchor on all four sides, just to make sure it works. And if we launch, just want to make sure it sizes properly before I get too carried away. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so do that. We'll change the text of the form to something like Velopack sample. And then at some point we should go and do like icon updates and that kind of thing. Let's see. Status. I want to not have it look like that. That sounds bad. Let's see. If we go back over to the WPF one. Oh, PR looks to have merged. And the build on master is off to the races. Okay, I'm going to let the build on master finish before I get too carried away. Then we'll circle back to it. Okay, so the first one here is check for updates. So we come down here, text property, check for updates. Well, I'm proud of myself. It's been years since I've done any WinForms development. I remember something. Okay. Download. That's right. And enabled false on both of those. So we're gonna change those. Download, let's see, it's called just enabled false. Enabled false. Nope, this one stays true. This is the one that goes enabled false. Okay, and then it's restart and apply. Down here. But in this case, what is the magical escape character here? Is it double and? I think is what it is. Will the release pipeline work this time? Didn't it fail last time for the version bump? Yes. Yes, it did. Yes, and I had to go do the version bump manually. However, just to prove it to myself, even though it failed last time, I did make one change, and this is the sucky part. Because this step is at the very bloody end, it's really, really, really hard to make sure I get right. But there is a key change. It has the permissions this time. It has the permissions. So, hopefully, between permissions actions right and then using the appropriate access token for opening the PR, we'll see. We will see. I am hoping the answer is yes. I am very much hoping the answer is yes. Let's see here. TXT. Text log. Yeah. And I'm trying to write this as close to idiomatic WinForms as I can remember. For updates. So this is roughly what I recall it being like. And I apologize if my WinForms skills are not up to snuff. Restart and fly. Okay, so that gets us to there. That gets us to there. Okay, next step, we need to add. Oh, how did the other demo add the reference? Velopack. Do they do project reference or is it NuGet package references? Looks like this. Yeah, so we're going to do the same thing, I think. Because I'd kind of like it to be very similar. Let's see. I don't think we care about all. I think some of this stuff we'll get for free. So we'll let it slide there. Okay, so that should get it to there. Oh, but we need to close this. We need to, in our samples now, I need to kill off the solution file. I need to go back to the main Velopack one. I need to go samples, add existing project, and I need to bring that back in. All right, 1 second while I remember what the heck I was doing in here. I unfortunately reformatted my computers over the break, and for better or worse, I changed up the structure of how I was organizing my folders, which is wonderful until you realize that you've changed up the structure of how you're doing your folders and you can't remember where things are anymore. There. Okay, found it. Just needed to give myself a little quick pep talk about how to develop again. Okay. So more importantly, the build target should kick in and do its thing, which is part of the reason for that. Okay, so we go there, we go there, we go there. Form 1. Form 1 has our thing. We now should have a Velopack dependency. Huzzah, we do. Great. Great, 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 great. Now we can actually just come in here and poach some code directly out of here. Because the idea is we would like to do something akin to this. In fact, it's almost identical. And we're going to do it right at the beginning. And this bit goes here. Yep. This goes away. And then we're going to clean some of that up. Using Velopack is an important thing to do. And then the logger. I think we're just going to copy paste this into the project because I want these, like normally I'd file link them, but I kind of want these things to stand on their own. And then we're going to file scope this namespace because this is a new project. We're turning on nullability too because reasons. And then We can leverage the new stuff. You are nullable. What is your problem? Let's see. Nullability does not match T state. State is nullable, I believe. Is that it? Okay. Give me the interface. Let's see. Disposable and where T state is. Oh, it wants a constraint and it wants a nullable on the return. Got it. Got it. Which means this bang goes away there. And that goes away. There. Okay. Let's see here. And then you are also wrong. The exception and the func is the key ones there. So that one and that one. That's what VM and Docker containers are useful for. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I was actually having quite a bit of fun with .NET Aspire and the Docker containers. I had not realized that the Aspire component for SQL Server has built-in support for managing lifetimes, because I kept getting annoyed that every time I shut down, my database went away. That's dumb. And then I realized you can just tell it, don't shut down the container for your database. Like, you could always mount the volume to have it be persistent, but sometimes it's nice to have a clean state. And it was nice being able to just trash the database and say, gone. So now at least when it starts the container, and then when I want to trash it, I just turn it off. So much simpler. Okay. Why do I keep jumping out of that? Pipeline done yet? No, not yet. Not yet. Okay, so that got us to there. And then this one created a memory logger up here. So we are going to do something similar. All right, just so that there is something to play with. Yeah, sure, we'll declare it nullable. Doesn't really matter that much. Actually, you know what? Rather than making it nullable, let's just make it static and read only. Let's see. I just mount the volume using the container name to blow it away, change the name. Oh yeah, that works too. That works too. At some point, I got to get you to come on here and teach me all your awesome Docker skills. Because I know enough to be very dangerous, but I'm not afraid to learn more. Okay. Let's see. That gets me to there. That gets me to there. Great, great, great. That all goes through there. This is functionally the entire setup that you need for Velopack, by the way. Right? If all you want to do is have the nice little installer bit, this gets you there. However, this is not cool enough. The next thing that you want is you actually want it to like do update checks. And so we leave the API and kind of leave it up to you to decide where the appropriate place is to do the update check. Where is my... Is it ucode? There we are. Okay, so I think that was previously done in the constructor, right? Let me close some of the stuff down so I can keep track of where everything's going on. So yeah, so main window constructor. Let's see. Update manager. Date info. Just grab both of those. Then we need to include Velopack. And normally I'd use a global using for something potentially like this, but given that this is a sample, I want it to be easy for people to follow. Let's see. Update manager can be read only. All right, so it will be set up in the constructor. This guy will be nullable. And then this is going to be program log. And then this is ext text log text. And then this becomes program log to string Let's see here. And maybe I want to tell this to, oh yeah, you can't be nullable anymore, so shut up. And then we need that, and then we need that. Okay, great. Go away, and then I need the log updated method. Pretty please. And then dispatcher is incorrect. What is the what is the WinForms way to do same as this WPF code? Go, Copilot, go. Right. Got it. Thank you. That's what I was needing. If invoke required, and I think that the dirty trick that I've done before is you invoke back on yourself. You can actually do this kind of same pattern in a lot of other areas as well. But you just invoke yourself. Log updated sender E. Right? And then the key part here, return. If you don't return, you shoot yourself in the foot. And then down here, you can now guarantee everything after the if is on the UI thread. And so you don't need this. We're going to put this comment up here because that's probably pretty useful. And then it's going to be something like txt text log text gets e.text. All right, so that goes there. And then I think it's txt text log auto scroll offset. Scroll to caret. I thought there was a scroll. What is my Copilot keystroke? Alt /. I need to just start using it, so I force myself to learn it. Scroll the text box txt text log to the end. Oh, that's funny. Let the selection start. Oh, okay. Okay. Still going. Refreshing my page. I'm still checking along. Okay, and then we need update status. This guy here. We'll end up grabbing it all, but I'm just gonna do a piecemeal as we go. Let's see, Velopack version, blah blah blah. Let's see. Oh, actually, I guess if we rename this to BTN download update, that'll make my life a little easier. We're gonna do that. I just put the word update on the end here. There, and now I can just do this and this and this and this. This. Right? BTN download update. Did I miss something? Oh, I did not change the other one. BTN restart apply. So it's the same as what was there, except for you probably have to spell restart. A-R-T. There we go. Ba-bum. Ba-bum. Let's see, and then I think it's just enabled. Yeah. See, a handful of things. There's a few things in like WinForms that aren't horrible. Let's see if we name it check update. Again, just if anything to make these things a little more similar to people is probably good. Oh, I edited the wrong one. Haha. Leave that alone. And then this is going to be LBL status. like that. And then this is nullability of blah, 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 which probably means that. I only happen to know that because of knowing the signature of event handler. Let's see, that field read only, don't care, we'll get to it in a minute. Okay, so now what we need to do is wire up click handlers, which I believe you go here, you go here, you go boom, like that. BTN check for update click. So we need this here. Okay, let's see. This is going to be async void, which is the one use case for async void is top level event handlers, which is what this is. Let's see. Log error. Use the logging extensions. And then we need this working method. Probably just sets some update. Yeah. It's right above update status. Okay. Program. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Let's see. And then this is status. So LBL status. Then we drop the word is because we don't like it in WinForms. Okay. That gets update going. Download. Click handler. Come on. Do the thing. Where's download? Download update click. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see. Async void. Let's see. This is program. And then what is progress here? Let's put, where was progress on the other one? Next to, right above working. Okay. And so we're going to go if invoke required. Okay, Copilot, impress me. Thank you. Now do the rest. Oh, you haven't figured that much out yet? Text gets. Oh, Copilot, I had such faith in you. I had such faith in you. You've let me down. Okay, that gets me to there. What are you unhappy about? Possible download update. Let's see. Update status is called on UI thread. Does that matter though? Does matter. Kind of tempted to just say this doesn't matter. If this button was clicked, this guy can't be null. Should probably not do that in general, but it'll work for now. Restart and apply. And then we go here. Once again, enabled. This should be fine. Let's see. Nikolai, welcome! Just saw your comment on the Smart Hit PR. Did moving the prefix element in the XAML really fix the issue? Still the same grid location? That's so weird. Is there a reasonable explanation for this? You will love looking at the recording of this. The short version is no. I have no idea why that does it. The only thing that kind of tipped me off to looking at the position in the XAML was the fact that the suffix worked. And it's specifically the suffix worked with horizontal alignment right. And that got me thinking, okay, what is different? Because suffix and prefix effectively were the exact same thing, and the only conclusion I could draw was one was declared after and one was declared before. And I went, let's try it. And then it worked. And I went, you gotta be joking me. Absolutely insane. Absolutely bloody insane. So yeah, no good explanation. The best I can come up with is there is a timing issue because you've got the UI thread, right? That is effectively sitting watching the event messages, processing, like WM Paint and all that stuff. Right. And so when things change size, they get invalidated and it has to remeasure, relay out, and potentially repaint, right? Depending on what the results of those are. My theory is that some of those things are going to be occurring in the same iteration of the UI thread loop. And by putting it after because XAML's evaluated top down, it forces the smart hint to be evaluated first. And then when the prefix is evaluated with its binding, it causes that thing to be appropriately invalidated and remeasured. That's the closest theory I've got, but I can't prove it. But it's the only thing that makes sense. Ooh. And the pipeline finished. Pipeline finished. Okay. Time to go for gold. Time to go for gold. Will it work? Let's see. Production, release. See? This pipeline does not have a good track record. Will tonight be the night? 5.2.1. Right? That is the magical night. Send it. Here's open. Here's open. Yeah, and Nikolai, you'll if you do watch the recording, I initially started down the idea of, I'll just write a quick UI test for this because I didn't understand your comment about, hey, I don't think this is a big deal because people are probably not setting their text boxes up that way. And I didn't fully understand what you meant by that until I tried to write a test. And then I tried to write a test and realized, I now have a better idea of why this is not likely a problem for most people. Because I think there's probably something with how that page is set up in our demo app that is potentially influencing it as well. So I think there's probably more moving parts than just move the prefix down. But I think there's potentially more involved in it, but that appeared to fix it. This is where the patch version number breaks it. Izzy, no. This is where we finally get the green check mark. We are going for gold. I'm going to move this to the side again, but here we go. For anybody who wants to follow along at home. This is the most excitement I'm going to have tonight. Okay. I think this gets me a full Velopack setup. Was there anything else this thing had? So I need a build script and a README added in as well. So let's copy those over. And we'll go and update those to be appropriate. Is there anything else that this one did that one didn't? Nope, that's fine. We mirrored all that. I think we just build and send this thing. I'm gonna go play Roblox with the little guy. See you next week. Have a good one, Izzy. Enjoy the fun. Hopefully there will be a release waiting for you. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna go here. Version number. Let's see. We need to change the name here. Compiling so this is probably wrong. C# WinForms with .NET. Let's see. I'm wondering if maybe that is closer to right. Because this is the name of the app. We'll just do that. That's probably good enough. Yeah. Okay. But I should leave the P on C#. Building Velopack release, pack version, and then this is not what I want. All right, I want something more akin to what this one is going to do. Yeah, this is what you want for Net 8. And that's how you build yourself a Velopack installer. We'll update the README in a minute, but let's make sure this guy actually works. So I need a new terminal, please. Doo-doo. Okay. Okay, CD samples, and then C sharp WinForms. There we go. Oh, will this actually run? Oh, look at that. 1.0.0. There we go. Send it. Let's see. Unrecognized commander argument. Net 8 x64 desktop. Well, that's not a good sign. Didn't I copy that a second ago from right here? Well, this one's then wrong too. Oh, actually, we should probably also do this. I should probably have copied this one rather than the WPF one. Let's see. I don't think the no self-contained is actually required, but we almost assuredly want to specify a RID for this. I guess it actually probably doesn't matter in this case. But... Oh, hang on. Is that the problem? Can I just not type? I think that's the problem. I just can't type. Yeah, so I'm going to close this before I get confused as to which thing I'm actually looking at. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, please specify the name with main exe. So this is actually probably a good sample, because I don't know that we test these things, and I'm willing to bet because we have difference in naming. Let's see. So this is going to be C. Actually, did the WPF one rename their output? Oh, see, they changed the name. That's why the WPF one doesn't have to do this, because it renamed it. We'll change it here. Like, normally, if you don't do this renaming, but it's kind of nice to show people, like, the useful bit is it does give at least a helpful error message here. Okay, Velopack library is greater. Okay, that doesn't matter. The short version. .NET tool install VPK. Oh, global. Get me the latest, pretty please. There. Now I will not get this warning, because I am up to date. This is actually something that we are looking at addressing, so that there isn't this weird disjoint that people have to worry about with their tooling app being out of sync with their lib. I know that there's no breaking changes between these two versions, but that's only because I've looked at these changes. It's very possible that this will break some. Let's see. For some reason, your stream is failing to render correctly on my PC. Starting audio and matrix video. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Layout or being the only reasonable explanation. After rewatch it later and catch it all though. They join from phone if that works better. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me know, Nikolai. Happy to rehash it too for you if needed. Okay, so this should have gotten me an installer, or at least this guy here should have gotten me one. So if we go here, I should publish. Right, this should have me. Oh, that's the publish directory. Where's the release directory? Oh, there we go. So launch Explorer. So this is what you get when you build a Velopack release. You get a setup, a new package, and some manifest files that control what the versions are. This releases file is for Upgrade compatibility from Cloud Squirrel. So if you're on that now and you need to update, publish this. If you're not trying to upgrade somebody off of Cloud Squirrel, you do not need this. You can just do the release win JSON manifest. But then if we run this, the installer went so fast. Okay, Velopack version, this app version 1.0, blah, blah, blah. Initializing Velopack locator, updater found, manifest, blah, 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 blah. All right, we can go check for updates. Right, creating a new one, generating new staging, received latest feed, found local feed at, right? So you can see it's looking in this same directory, and it's only looking in this directory because of how we coded the update manager. If we go view code, right? So because it has this get release directory, right? This is pointing him at a local directory to be able to build from. In general, you'd probably point this at a URL like an S3 bucket, an Azure storage account, GitHub release, blah, blah, blah. There are various update locators you can plug in if you want to do something custom as well. But the idea is the update locator effectively retrieves the manifest to say, hey, these are the releases available. And this one is just using a local folder. Now, if we come in here, right, and we go, where'd my thing go? All right, so if we go up arrow a couple times, and we produce version 1.0.1, like we're doing with the material design library, you have to do it from the right directory, though. All right, if we now build the 101 file, all right, so if I ls my releases directory, I now have both the 1.0, a 1.1 delta, and a full release. So in the event that you don't want to download them, you can see there's a significant size reduction with the delta packages. And now if we check for updates, update available 1.0.1. We need to add some spacing between these things. We need to add a little bit more spacing. I'm going to push these buttons down a little bit, but then we can download the update. Oh, wow. And then we can restart and apply. Oh, and it went so fast. But now we're on 101. Yay! We've got an updated WinForms application. Done. Done, 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 done. Okay, so we need to update the README still. That's forthcoming. The pipeline is still chugging along, running the tests. We have a lot of tests. Okay, let's get this guy up and rolling. Okay, so the WinForms samples README needs to not look like WPF. Velopack WinForms sample. Prerequisite VPK command line tool. How to use WinForms. Provide a desktop UI installer and update for Windows only by executing the build script with a version number, build bat 101. Yep. Build more updates, test the updates, and so forth. Your production apps, you should deploy your updates to some kind of update server instead. Yes. WinForms implementation notes. Yeah, this is all around the main method stuff. I'm tempted to throw all of this away. And I think we just call out a few key things. The Velopack startup bootstrapping should be placed as early as possible in the main method. We're just going to grab that real quick so that it's clear what I'm referring to. Um, let's see. This sample explicitly sets the assembly name in the csproj file to match the name of the Velopack. What was the argument there? The Velopack. Oh, what is VPKU? I want to get the name right. VPK pack. To match. To match the pack pack ID dash U option. Let's see. Copilot, this is not required, but makes the user pack ID and the assembly name. This is not required. Demonstrates handling the case where the app name and the pack ID are different. And in general, like the other way to do it is with the --main exe parameter to the VPK pack command, because for your pack IDs, we're still trying to put together some guidance, but something along the lines of company name dot application name is probably a good way of doing it, right? Like I can get away with having these very simple pack IDs because I'm just doing updates locally and I'm not trying to like ship this anywhere. But for yours, like these IDs have to be unique on a user system. You don't want to collide. So having them be as separate as possible. When we eventually push them up, if you use our hosted service, we will validate that all package IDs are unique within our hosted service. That way there's we don't cause collisions, and we will warn people if they're going to. But generally something akin to that. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is push this down. So I want to actually collapse this a little bit. Do that. Do that. Do that. Something akin to that. Okay. That gets me going. Okay, so let's go here, and then we're going to go Control B to make a new branch. CKDB WinForms sample. Let's see. Add a new WinForms sample application. Commit and push. Submit. And then I want to go to our docs page. We want to add it into our page there. Okay. We are pausing for just a quick second because we are about to make great strides here, because this get icon changes typically doesn't take very long. So this will just update the wiki page with any icon changes from release A to release B, because I'm way too lazy to do things like update a wiki, especially if I can automate it. And by making more releases, it helps me justify the ridiculous number of hours I've put into this pipeline, because I am still deeply in the hole for how many hours I put into this pipeline versus how many hours it has saved me. I put a lot of hours into this. So it looks cool, but I don't know if I could say it was worth the investment yet. We're going to let that sit to the side for a moment. Okay, let's see. I want this in code. This is one of the slightly unfortunate things with Git Kraken. If you set the external tool to custom, you lose the open in VS Code. So my workaround for the moment is I pop the terminal and I just type code period. And poof, now I get VS Code. So it's one extra click, which is like, not great, but it's better than nothing. Okay, so I think the sample apps, where are they? Docs, because those things are underneath. Yeah, introduction, quick start, sample apps. Where is it? Sample apps. There we go. So we want WinForms, and then this is going to be C# WinForms, and then this will be Velopack with WinForms on Windows. That should be the right link. Yeah, just double checking all of that, and then we're going to put this out on a branch. Okay, sweet. Pipeline came up. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. This is the part where the pipeline pauses and we go check its work. Because this is the this is the point of no return if we go beyond this. So because I'm a contributor, I can see draft releases. So I can see there is this change log here. I think we're going to add one teeny little thing, right? Oh, it won't show the change log because it hasn't actually made the tag yet. So this doesn't quite work. But if I go here, I want to call out, and I probably should have labeled it so that the auto-generated stuff would have picked it up. Since this is the one, we're gonna just add a little note here. Exception with the key change fixes an exception with numeric up down styles. See, boom, 3756 for details. There, we got that. Save. All right, so that gets me, so as long as I'm happy here, right? And I'm not happy, I want to make that bigger. Save. See, it's nice being able to have this level of make it work. Okay, so that seems good to me. And then we come back to our action. Oh, wait, I guess we already have it. And we go, okay, if we are happy with it, point of no return, send it. Will the pipeline go green? I know Izzy had to leave, but I'm rooting for this. Come on, green. Make my day. Okay. Oh! No! Version number update failed. You're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. You are killing me. Permission denied. Why? Why is the permission denied? Unable, the requested URL turned, you must, oh, okay, we're gonna have to fix it. Dang it! I was rooting for it. It's rooting for it. Okay, well, let's go here. Let's get this branch pushed real quick. Adding link to WinForms. Let's see, adding link to WinForms sample. Create. Oh, I guess this one we generally just cowboy it straight on into main. Let's go and look, because if the pull request passes, I might just merge it. It's a sample. It's not actually affecting anything else. So, oh, that's... Oh, I didn't open a PR. Well, that's dumb. Oh, it's because the thing moved... Okay. Darn Renovate is jumping ahead of me. Okay, so push and open PR. We rebase, so we force push. The adding Windows Forms sample. This adds a WinForms sample similar to the WPF one. Okay. Great pull request. And I think what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna auto. Oh, I can't autocomplete the sucker. We're gonna wait. I'm just gonna make sure I didn't break anything before I get crazy. Okay. Okay. What is different? What is bloody different here? So we have all of this. We know there is a GitHub token here. So here's what's bothering me, right? This icon update one is known to work. Now, it hasn't run the open pull request in a while because there haven't been any updates to the material design icon set in a while, like 7 months. So there is a chance that this pipeline does fail, and I'm just too stupid to realize it. So what does this one do differently? It has a checkout step. Okay, sorry, we're gonna review this with a fine-tooth comb because I was so confident. All right, icon update, release, close all these things down. Okay, what is different between left and right? Okay, obviously schedule versus workflow dispatch should make a difference. There is an environment difference here. This has environment GitHub token, and this is using the service account access token at this level. This in theory opens it up. I wonder, are these the problematic ones? Because in theory, I'm wondering if we should be doing this instead. Right? Get this off of here, this off of here. Because this one doesn't request any of this stuff. It just switches its token. And it switches it at a higher level. I had tried to switch the token at a lower level. And I'm wondering if that just doesn't play nice. The environment is only here so that it runs as part of everything else in the production environment. Let's turn off actions right, because that's clearly not necessary. Because in both cases, it does a checkout. It runs some PowerShell, which succeeds just fine. Right? In this case, it's just running something here, and then this is checking for changes. This does open pull requests. We're going to get rid of this environment block and git config local user. It's got to be the fact that we had a different environment variable higher up. I wonder if it's if the higher one wins rather than the narrower scoped one wins. Checkout B, like we do a slightly different branch name, obviously, because that would make more sense. Release version update all, git push, set upstream. Yeah, all that makes sense. PR create fill, PR merge version update, delete branch, auto squash. Okay, next release, we're gonna try this. Because I got nothing better. Go to master real quick. And then we will go and bump the version updates ourselves because reasons. Okay. Because what this thing is supposed to do, right, is it's supposed to do this. And this part it worked with. It's just it didn't open the PR with this changed file. Like, this is what it's supposed to go and update. Like, that's all that PowerShell does, is rev that version for me. Let's see. Bumping versions after update. Yet another attempt to fix the pipeline. Okay, well, the nice part, though, is if I actually do keep up a cadence of fast release cycles, it means the releases can be small. Hopefully the release notes can be small, and then we can get all the way down to having it fixed. So disappointing. So disappointing. Especially since I know it's in the environment variables. Like, I know there's one in here. The problem is I can't tell from looking at this output which token it was. Was it the one from my environment step, or was it the one from higher up? And if it was the one from higher up, I totally agree that this would be wrong. So we're going to get it working first, and if it works next time, we may try to bring it down. But yeah, we may just leave it. Okay. Did this thing finish? No, there's still a build going. We're going to let this thing finish, and then we're going to push that change to the docs page. Okay. And that'll get me in and going. We'll be off to the races. Do you build stuff on GitHub more? A large percentage of what I do is on GitHub. I think it's probably like 75% or more is probably on GitHub. In my day job, I work with different clients, and so they sometimes have us do like building outside of GitHub. Azure DevOps is the most likely secondary thing that I work on. It probably occupies, like, there's a handful of kind of like weird one-off stragglers of things, like even like SVN and whatnot, but I think Git on GitHub is probably like 75-80% of what I do. Azure DevOps, between the two of those probably occupy like 98% of everything I do, and then, you know, some stragglers and one-offs here and there. But yeah, the vast majority of it, GitHub kind of took over everything. And Microsoft, I think, did a great thing when they bought it and then kept so much of it free. Because I think that was the scare when Microsoft bought it, is everybody was worried it was about to become this big paid thing. Because around the time Microsoft took it over, there was a lot of competition in the CI/CD space. Like AppVeyor was one of my favorites to go to because they had a very generous free tier for, you know, getting your pipelines and whatnot going. But then when GitHub released stuff for free, and the free tier on GitHub is very, very generous, a lot of those third-party ones kind of started falling to the wayside because it's really hard to compete with free. Let's see. What is the future of DevOps? I was experimenting with a language model that does single file SH to build Android, basically, and another one to test that app and feedback the build SH agent. I kind of like that idea, but having a third agent that's human that complains about bugs to the 2 AI. So that's kind of my job. I just complain about bugs now. I guess it depends on the question of what you mean by future of DevOps. Like, DevOps isn't going away. If anything, it's growing. I think companies are slowly wising up to the idea that investing in your DevOps process makes everything better and faster. And so there's that. If you're referring specifically to Azure DevOps, Microsoft, I believe, said at the Build conference that it wasn't going away. Like, I'm sure ideally they would love it if everybody would just switch to GitHub, but GitHub does not have the same feature set as Azure DevOps. They're very different feature sets, and they may, like, at least from what I've seen, is they're probably going to continue to exist as different things for quite a while, because it's kind of a different use case depending on whether when you're in GitHub, right? Because DevOps has a very rich system when it comes to like backlog items and bugs, and you can set up Kanban boards and various flows and all that kind of stuff that's around there. And GitHub does not have all of that yet. Like, they've got projects and issues and discussions, but it's a very different way of attacking the same problem, which is I want to organize my backlog of work, and DevOps has a lot there. Right? Like, I know GitHub has been slowly adding features, and I shouldn't say slowly, GitHub runs fast. They've been adding a lot of features and trying to bring it in, but at least what I've seen is the stuff GitHub has built and brought in, they kind of add their own flair to it because they understand that they're probably dealing with a slightly different type of user. Like, a lot of users on GitHub are open source. Unless we're talking about GitHub Enterprise, which, again, is GitHub-y, but GitHub Enterprise and GitHub.com are not the same thing. Right? Like, GitHub Enterprise is for the big enterprise customers who are like, no, we're not playing on GitHub.com. No, we need our own effectively private GitHub, and that's where everybody gets to play, right? And we will pay for it. So, yeah. So I think it's definitely worth playing around with. And honestly, your comment of language models that does a single file SH to build Android, like, those types of things are great. Like, the what was it called? Microsoft had it's not AppVeyor. App. What was it called? They deprecated it and effectively have killed it off. But they had a system around when they first bought Xamarin for building mobile apps. It had app something in the name, and I'm blanking on it now. And so it was awesome because you could point it at a repo, and it didn't have a lot of customizations, but it would do a lot of your building for you. Like, it had a bunch of smarts built in to kind of detect the language and the framework and do the compilation and set up the build and do automated UI tests, and then little easy publishing out to either test flight on iOS or the beta channels. What is it? Internal testing, and then like alpha beta prod on Android, and being able to push all of that stuff out. Like, it had a lot of that built in. And unfortunately, I think it wasn't the moneymaker they wanted it to be, so they kind of killed it off. Yeah. Yeah, and why a website doesn't exist with a one-click button and have your app on the Play Store? That is a great question. There are a number of places I've seen that try to do it, and I don't fully get why it's so hard. So some of the things of why it's hard is getting your package built and uploaded is not difficult. That can be done fairly well. But there are certain steps around like store listing and stuff that both Google and Apple block you from. My workaround for it at the moment, and I will show you this. I believe it's sitting out on a branch. Is I have been building .NET templates, and so it's not it gets me to the idea of a one-click deployment, right? And so, but it's generated and automated, so it generates it for me and then gets out of my way in case I want to end up changing anything with it. Oh, does this not actually have the pipeline in it? Oh, this doesn't have the pipeline in it. I need to go and grab that. It was probably because I wasn't happy with how the pipeline was working. But I'm planning, and here, I'll link this out in case you want to follow it. But effectively, my workaround is, because the pipelines can be YAML, and YAML is effectively code, and we've got plenty of templating engines and whatnot, I should be able to template myself out a default pipeline that's ready to rock and roll for every single one of my new apps that I build. Like, I've been playing with Avalonia. In fact, I just released in my day job an app on the Android and Google Play stores for, and it was built with Avalonia. And a lot of the learnings from that application is what is going into this template that I've been working on, so that when I build more apps, I can .NET new, and I have a repo, I have my code, and I have my pipelines, and everything's just ready to go. I haven't figured out how I want to version it yet. That's the other part that gets a little weird, is you can get the pipeline going, building like your APK and pushing it up to the Google Play Store, but I haven't come up with a reasonable way of knowing, oh, okay, once I push that release out, I need to go rev the version in my repo. Yeah. I kind of like .NET for that portability. I use Python to do custom stuff like that. Yeah, and that's the thing, is there's a lot of those kind of nuances, and usually what I tell people is this .NET templates repository, I am not attempting to build something that is generic for everybody. I like, this is Kevin's opinionated way of how he likes to run stuff. If you find it useful, great, but this is my opinionated way of how I think it works best, and how I like to build apps. And so I think that's one thing that sucks people in a lot, is people have a lot of opinions of how they want to build, how they want to version, which is fine. But at the end of the day, like, sometimes the one who wins is the one who has a working easiest solution, because people tend to gravitate towards whatever that easiest solution is. Yeah, having similarity versions, an LLM and attribute a version of code to specific traits, and they can build versions portable. Yeah, and things like that. I think having nicely built stuff like that is good. The other thing that I know makes it slightly more challenging, especially when you talk about mobile, is you're talking about getting Google and Apple to play nice together. Unless we're talking about somebody who just wants to build a native app, right? Because if it's just a native app, it's not that bad of an experience. Like, Apple and Google both have their own setup, their tooling, all of that, and it plays nice. In the .NET space, it gets more awkward, because now we want to build an app with .NET, but neither Google nor Apple, like, that's not their native path, and so they're like, yeah, you can do it, but that's not what we're focused on. And so you're now relying on, like, you start getting this tower of cards type problem, as you start getting more and more things working their way up, until occasionally the cards come toppling over. And that's also why so many of, like, the cross-platform frameworks occasionally struggle, because they're trying to build this one great thing, but the foundation that they're built on keeps shifting around on them. Google makes updates, Apple makes updates, Microsoft makes updates, and it's like, I'm trying to build a nice cross-platform thing. Stop breaking me. It's like, yeah, it's kind of hard. There's a lot of moving pieces going into that. And then even just the tool chains. But yes, I can definitely agree with you. I don't know of a great solution to point people to say, hey, if you just want the one-click solution to build and ship your app to the store, what that is. I think a lot of things rely on having a little bit more knowledge than that. And I think my solution is going to be to template the problem away as best I can, and then live with the rest. Because the app that I shipped this week, there's a handful of manual steps. Like I have a specific GitHub action on it that is manual workflow dispatch that I go and click the button on. And I have two Boolean inputs, right? It's released to Android, released to iOS. They default to true, but you hit run, you let it go, and it will build and send the app up to the respective stores. Now, once that's done, though, I have to go through and, like on Google, you can get the thing up, but you still have to go and click, even for the internal release, to actually send it, which is annoying. It's like I'm so close. And on the Apple side, I have yet to figure out how to specify effectively the test flight release notes, because typically once it pushes up to test flight, like it's great that it goes there, but I'd like to pre-populate those release notes rather than just going in after the fact and editing them. So there's little things like that where it's like it's so close to being great. I really like it, but it's so close. So yeah, if you watch this branch, I've been loving my Avalonia stuff, and so you will see either this repo get updated with this Avalonia template, probably not too far in the distant future, and it will also have the pipeline stuff in there as well, at least for what people want to see. It's kind of rudimentary, and I'm not sure I'm happy with it. Like, I want something better. I know it could be better. The other thing that's worth noting is it can be a resource pig if you turn on full CI/CD with mobile, because you can burn up quite a bit of build minutes, and artifact size can potentially be a problem. So I will warn of that. It's very easy to burn through the free accounts allocation of both if you just turn on full CI/CD and you're fairly active on the repo. So I dialed mine down to where it was just effectively doing a nightly if there were changes, and that worked well enough for me. And then obviously manual click for the release. But yeah, so it gets me at least to there. And then I don't know how much I care to fight with Google and Apple to try to make it better, because at the end of the day, it's then fighting with their systems to make them go. And I was actually shocked at how little automatable API stuff was there, and how much they really, really, really want somebody to click a button on their website. Like, this is annoying. This feels wrong. I don't like this. I don't like having to manually click. And I get it, though. There's a lot of stuff in there. There's you have to sign legal agreements and this and that. How would you do that through an API? It's like, I get it. But once all that's done, can I just go and send it? I just want to send it. So we'll see how it goes. Great question, Freedom. I think, though, for now, I am probably close to burning out. It is almost midnight where I am at. So, yeah, no problem, Freedom. Always happy to chat. Anything dev related. Doesn't matter what I'm working on my stream. I always like to take time to answer questions and whatnot. So I will tell everybody, happy coding. See y'all next time.